flag. If a yellow flag comes out before they get to the white flag, they line them all up and do it again up to a third time. Last year, this race, 2 green-white checker attempts were required to finish it out.
Hard to believe it's been 18 races since we've had one in the Nationwide Series.
Yep. Kevin Harvick's going to be behind Joe Nemechek for this restart, Doc.
Let's find out from Ernie Cope. Ernie, what's Kevin's plan here? On who does he go with?
It looks like the 54 and the 87 switch, so that leaves us behind the 87.
So he's going to go with Nemechek?
Yes.
Can he win it?
Yeah, I believe he can.
Ernie Cope, man, a few words, but he believes that this guy can get it done. Alan?
So Ernie Cope's reference to the 54 and 87 switching. Kyle Busch was the race leader and has the choice of which lane to restart in.
He's going to plan on taking that option to the outside, get a good start. Nemechek is going to let him get back in front of him, and they're teamed up again. That's what I'm guessing.
See what Harvick and Brad Keselowski try to do about that.
Now let's see what the rest of them do. Oh, boy.
.26 cars on the lead lap to the final laps.
Trying to keep that from happening because he's pushing Nemechek hard, won't let the 54 get back in front of him.
Yeah, I watched that restart, and I mean, well before they got to the line, Harvick was attached to the rear bumper of that 87.
So now Kyle Busch's hopes reside with Brad Keselowski and his ability to push.
Well, he's getting a nice push from him.
Oh, trouble. Harvick's around.
Oh, got spun on the backside by the 43.
How many's it going to collect? Oh, what a vicious crash. Eric McClure. Accident that began at the front of the pack, jockeying for position to race for the win, ends with some heavily damaged cars scattered across turn 3. Taylor Malsom.
It's a vicious hit by Eric McClure there.
Yes, it was. Robert Richardson, 23. Kevin Harvick's car sitting back there as well.
Yeah, Harvick was out of his car. I run that out. That's what's so frustrating about this racing is you get yourself all day long, you position yourself, give yourself out of trouble, and it just gets so ramped up. Just one bump too hard by someone. You got so many lines that have different momentum, and the holes close up so quickly. Nobody willing to give any when it's this close to the end.
Go ahead.
7 car rejoins the race. You saw Brad Keselowski's car sitting on the pit lane getting attention. Robert Richardson. I'll tell you just how hard that was for him.
See the damage on that right front. He's okay. He didn't jump out though. Takes a little while to get your wits about you, and when you hit something like that, yeah, see they jammed it all back, and get your feet in there, your legs, your knees. Red flag the race. Right there on the first part of the triangle in the front straightaways where all the leaders are parked.
As the work continues at the accident scene over in turn number 3. So the red flag is out in the middle of the first attempt at a green-white checker finish, a multi-car accident. Over in turn number 3 at the end of the backstretch. Austin Dillon's car with damage. But the bulk of the concern remains focused around the Eric McClure car. After the hard crash he took to that inside wall. The safety workers there, well trained, and doing their job. And of course, any update that we get, we'll pass along to you as soon as possible.
NASCAR and these safety teams have done such a tremendous job over the years of gaining ideas of how to handle these situations better.
They've got great equipment too.
Yeah.
They can cut that roof off the car, so if he is injured, they can get him out without causing any more injury.
So the drivers are stopped here that are continuing in the race. And know they have another green-white checker attempt to go. To decide who's going to win. What goes through your mind?
As you're sitting there, just want to get it over now. But as they get back, they're going to go just as hard at it as what they were right then. You know, you feel fortunate that you've been able to make it and get through to this point. But now it's really about, okay, I've got to this point, let's make the most of it. See, NASCAR does a good job too now. It's extremely hot in these race cars. You've been out there in this 85-degree temperatures, getting all of these drivers some water.
There are the 8 drivers involved in the accident. All of those drivers have either driven their cars away, as in the case of Patrick and Keselowski, or climbed from their machines if they were unable to continue, except the Eric McClure machine, which you see the work continuing around. So while they continue to work that scene over there in turn number 3, and we continue to show concern and watch the situation and pay attention. Andy, you've been a crew chief, you've been a team owner. This from NASCAR. They report to us that Eric McClure has been talking to the medical staff over at the accident scene. So that is certainly
Peeled the roof back too, so
a good bit of news.
a lot better access to Eric now.
That in itself, the fact that they would peel the roof back, is simply to give the safety workers more room to maneuver. And in any kind of a situation, I mean, he took a hard hit to that inside wall. There would be stabilizing of his spine and neck to try and take him out of that car straight up and make sure that there are no injuries or further injuries in that area. But again, NASCAR just informing us that McClure is talking, or has talked, to the medical workers over there in turn number 3.
It's just so much less risky by taking that roof, peeling it back, even though they probably don't know the extent of any injuries here, but it's so much less risky to pull any driver out of the car without having to come through that small window opening. These window openings are fairly small.
And we talk all the time about the safety of these new cars, of everything that's involved as far as the Hans device and the shoulder harnesses, seat belts, everything that the drivers now have inside of these cars. But you still have to realize you're traveling well over 170 miles an hour at this racetrack.
Doc, you're well familiar with the medical procedures and all of the safety work that goes on in this situation.
Unfortunately, I am, Alan, and you explained it very well. I mean, they typically want to be very, very deliberate and take their time. You want to get the roof of the car off so you can get to the driver and stabilize the neck and spine. Great to hear the news that you had reported a moment ago that Eric McClure had spoken with the NASCAR and the safety people at the scene. I spoke to Wes Ward, the crew chief for Eric McClure, a moment ago as he was walking or headed that way, and Wes said none of the crew had heard anything on the radio, and they surmised the radio wires probably snapped or were torn with that violent impact, so they were very concerned and glad to hear that Eric is communicating. Now, again, very, very deliberate. These NASCAR safety people you see working on the car here train almost once a week. In fact, one of the training sites is right here at Talladega off the back straightaway. They get cars and they cut the roofs off. They practice taking drivers out on a backboard, strapping them down, providing every delicate touch they can to get them out of the car to do no harm prior to getting them evaluated. That's exactly what they're doing right now with Eric McClure.